we teach in our schools, the materials used must be rethought. I am not talking about history. I'm talking about the basics, the sciences, sharpening theoretical aptitude and imparting vocational skills, such as in the German example, alongside the national language with equal emphasis and facility in a global language, which we had and lost. Our teachers from elementary up are heroes fighting ignorance with poor paper weapons. Once we had an education system that prepared coming generations for more and better jobs. There is hope for a comeback. Vice President and soon-to-be Secretary of Education, Sara Duterte Carpio, will fit that mission to a T.
The News Day continues here on One News Now. I'm Charles Lejano. Today is the first day of the implementation of the 11 peso minimum wage for passenger jeepneys. To tell us what the drivers and passengers think about this, we now have Greg Gregorio. He's reporting to us live from Quezon City. Good morning again, Greg. Let's start with the drivers. How do they feel about this hike in the minimum fare? Is this enough to give them some sort of reprieve?
Yes, Charles, first let us highlight that this fare hike only means 1 peso increase for the minimum fare in the National Capital Region, Central Luzon, Calabarzon, and Mimaropa, following the earlier 1 peso provisional fare hike approved by LTFRB during the earlier part of June. But this also means 2 peso fare hike for the minimum fare in other regions. Now, we were able to talk to some of the drivers here in Quezon City, and they say 1 peso increase is already good, as this would give them at least about 300 peso increase to their take home for their families each day. However, there are also some who said that minimum of 5 peso increase for the minimum fare would be needed for them to be able to shoulder the continuously increasing prices of fuel in the country. Charles?
Right, Greg, so much for the drivers. How about the passengers? What do they think? Are they fine paying this extra 1 peso, or were there any strong reactions against it?
Charles, most of the passengers that we were able to talk to said 1 peso is nothing for them, as they know that this would help the drivers who have been affected by the pandemic and the continuously increasing fuel prices. But there are also some who said that the 1 peso increase in the fare might only be seen as 1 peso increase for a single ride. But if you would have to compute or factor in the number of jeepney rides that they would have to take for at least a month, this would require them for about 100 pesos or more, which could probably spent for the family's budget in a month. Charles?
Greg, we're talking about the conventional passenger jeepneys. What about the minimum fare for the modern jeepneys? Were there any changes or adjustments there?
Yes, Charles, along with the fare increase or the minimum fare increase for the traditional jeepneys, these modern jeepneys are now also allowed to ask for higher minimum fare. From the previous 11 pesos, they are now allowed to ask for 13 pesos for each passenger. But earlier, Charles, when we were able to talk to some of the drivers of modern jeepneys, they say they have yet to start the minimum fare hike for the modern jeepneys, as their fare systems isn't recalibrated yet. So they would have to wait for their ticketing system or their fare system to be recalibrated for them to start the fare hike for their passengers. Charles?
Thanks for those updates, Greg. That was Greg Gregorio reporting live from Quezon City. The COVID-19 positivity rate in the metro has jumped to 7.5%. from 5.9% last week. That is according to Octa research fellow Guido David, who said the COVID positivity rates in other provinces have also been rising. In a table posted by David on Twitter, Cavite is seen posting the highest positivity rate at 13.2%, and that is a sharp increase from just under 6% last week. In light of these developments, David urges the public to stay safe. We'll be back with more stories after a quick break. Keep it here on One News. You're still watching One News Now. I'm Charles Lejano. President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. and Vice President Sara Duterte attended Mass at the San Miguel Church in Malacañang today. In a Facebook post, DSWD Secretary Erwin Tulfo shared some snaps of Marcos Jr. and Duterte inside the church. Tulfo added that other members of the cabinet also attended Mass earlier today. Time now for a quick look at some of today's headlines. After over 30 years, the Marcos family is officially back in Malacañang. Cabinet appointees and other government officials took their oath before President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. And President Marcos' supporters celebrated the inauguration through a people's concert in Manila. And those are the top stories of this hour. Join us again later at 2 p.m. as we continue to monitor the day's biggest stories. You can also catch One News on Signal Play. Just register for a free account at www.signalplay.com so you can stream One News live anytime and anywhere. I'm Charles Lejano. Mask on, wash hands, and stay safe, Philippines. We're One News.